I'm holding a DNA test that proves the daughter I've raised for 20 years isn't mine biologically. 20 years ago, a hospital made a mistake that swapped two families' entire futures. And I'm the only person on Earth who knows the truth. But here's what makes it worse. When I found my biological daughter, what I discovered made me realize that maybe some mistakes aren't mistakes at all. Maybe they're miracles in disguise. And the choice I have to make now will either destroy two families or save them both. Before we dive into this incredible story, if you love shocking true stories with unbelievable twists, smash that subscribe button right now and turn on all notifications. We post jaw-dropping stories like this every single day. Hit that like button and comment below where you're watching from. You won't believe what happens next. Let's get into it. My name is Mrs. Willington, and 3 weeks ago, my entire world shattered in the sterile waiting room of a genetic testing center. I wasn't there for myself. I was there because my daughter, the girl I raised, loved, and sacrificed everything for, needed a kidney transplant, and I was supposed to be the perfect match. Mothers always are, they said. Except I wasn't. Not even close. The doctor looked at me with confusion that quickly turned to concern. Mrs. Willington, I don't understand. The genetic markers, they don't align. Have you considered that perhaps your husband? My husband is dead, I said flatly. He died when Sophia was 6. And before you suggest it, there was no affair. There was only him. Only ever him. The doctor shifted uncomfortably. Then I'm afraid there's only one other explanation. I recommend we run a more comprehensive panel. 1 week later, I sat alone in my car in the parking lot, hands shaking as I opened the envelope. The results were clear, clinical, devastatingly simple. Probability of maternity, 0%. Sophia Grace Willington, the girl who had my smile, my stubbornness, my love of old movies and Sunday morning pancakes, was not my biological daughter. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there as 20 years of memories rearranged themselves into a different shape, like a puzzle I'd been forcing pieces into that never actually fit. Because now, suddenly, things made sense. Why Sophia had blonde hair, when both my husband and I had dark brown. Why she was tall and athletic, when we were both short and bookish. Why she had perfect pitch when neither of us could carry a tune. I'd explained it all away with recessive genes, with my grandmother's side, with coincidence. But it wasn't coincidence. It was a mistake. A hospital mistake. 20 years ago, on a cold February morning, I gave birth to a baby girl at St. Catherine's Medical Center. The labor was long, complicated. I was exhausted. The nursery was understaffed. And somewhere in those early morning hours, in the chaos of shift changes and emergencies, 2 babies were switched. I went home with someone else's child. And somewhere out there, another woman went home with mine. For 3 days, I didn't tell Sophia. How do you tell your daughter something like that? How do you look into the eyes of the person you've loved more than your own life and say, I'm not actually your mother? So instead, I started searching. I called St. Catherine's first, but the hospital had closed 5 years ago after a malpractice lawsuit. The records had been transferred to a storage facility, and it took me 2 weeks of persistent calls and mild threats to finally get access. When I walked into that dusty warehouse full of boxes, I felt like I was walking into my own grave. The birth records from February 14th, 2004 were in box 247, row J. There were only 2 girls born that day. Sophia Grace Willington, born 6:47 a.m. Mother, Williams Willington. Father, Marcus Willington. And beneath it, Emma Rose Castellanos, born 6:52 a.m. Mother, Patricia Castellanos. Father, unknown. 5 minutes apart. 2 baby girls. Same nursery. I took a photo of the page with trembling hands. Then I did what any mother would do. I found her. Patricia Castellanos still lived in the same town, just 11 miles from my house. 11 miles. For 20 years, we had been neighbors, shopping at the same grocery stores, breathing the same air, raising each other's daughters.
I didn't call first.
I just drove to the address listed in the white pages, parked across the street, and waited. At 3:47 p.m., a car pulled into the driveway. A woman stepped out, mid-40s, tired eyes, wearing scrubs. A nurse, I guessed. And then the passenger door opened. A young woman emerged, early 20s, dark curly hair, petite frame, glasses. She was laughing at something on her phone. And when she turned toward the house, I saw my face. Not similar. Not kind of like me. My face. 20 years younger. She had my nose, my eyes, the same small gap between her front teeth I'd always been self-conscious about. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. That was my daughter. My biological daughter. And I had missed everything. Her first word. Her first step. Her first day of school. Her first heartbreak. All of it had belonged to someone else. I sat there crying silently as I watched them walk into the house together. This mother and daughter who didn't know the truth, whose whole lives were built on the same mistake as mine. I should have driven away. I should have gone home, held Sophia, and never said a word. But I didn't. Because 3 days later, I saw something that changed everything. If this story has you on the edge of your seat, do us a huge favor. Hit that like button right now and drop a comment telling us what you think she should do. And subscribe if you haven't already, because we share unbelievable stories like this every single day. Now, let's see what she discovered. I couldn't stay away. For a week, I drove past that house every day, always at different times, always parking just far enough away not to be noticed. I watched them like a detective, like a ghost, like a mother mourning a life she never got to live. Patricia worked long shifts at the hospital, ironically the same hospital system that had made the mistake. Her daughter, Emma, my biological daughter, was a college student studying marine biology at the community college. They seemed close, happy even. But then I noticed something. Every Tuesday and Thursday, Patricia left for work at 6 a.m. and didn't return until after midnight. Double shifts, I assumed. And every Tuesday and Thursday, a man came to the house. Not a boyfriend. He was too old, mid-60s, graying hair, expensive car. He stayed for exactly 1 hour, always left before Patricia came home, and always, Emma looked different after he left. Shaken. Upset. Sometimes I saw her crying on the porch after his car disappeared down the street. On the 4th Tuesday, I followed him. He drove to a law office downtown, Castellanos and Partners. The name hit me like a freight train. I pulled up the website on my phone. Ricardo Castellanos, senior partner. Family law specialist. Patricia's last name was Castellanos. This was Emma's father. The unknown father listed on her birth certificate. But if he was in her life now, why did she look so miserable every time he visited? I did something reckless then. I created a fake social media account and sent Emma a message, pretending to be a student journalist writing a piece about children of divorce. She responded within an hour. What followed was a conversation that made my blood run cold. Emma told me everything. Her father had left when she was 2, abandoned them completely. No child support, no visits, nothing. Patricia raised her alone, working double shifts, struggling, sacrificing. Then 6 months ago, he reappeared. Not because he wanted a relationship, because he wanted something from her. He was dying, liver failure, and he needed a transplant. He tracked Emma down, showed up at her door, and demanded that she get tested to see if she was a match. She agreed because Patricia begged her to. Because despite everything, Patricia still loved him. But Emma wasn't a match. So now, every Tuesday and Thursday, Ricardo came to their house to berate her, to guilt her, to tell her she was killing him by having the wrong blood type. Patricia didn't know. She was never home when he visited. Emma was suffering in silence because she didn't want her mother to know what kind of man he really was. I sat in my car reading these messages, and something inside me snapped. This man, this entitled, cruel man, was tormenting my biological daughter. And I couldn't do anything about it because I wasn't her mother. Except, I was. Biologically, legally, technically, I was. I just had to prove it. But before I could figure out my next move, my phone rang. It was the hospital. Mrs. Willington, I'm calling about Sophia. We found a match. My heart stopped. A match? But I thought. Not you. Another donor. Anonymous. They came forward last week after seeing Sophia's story on the transplant registry. The surgery is scheduled for next Tuesday. Tuesday. The same day Ricardo would be at Patricia's house, tormenting Emma. I hung up and stared at the phone. An anonymous donor. I opened my email and searched for the notification I'd received 2 weeks ago, the one from the National Transplant Registry confirming that I'd been added to the database as a potential donor. I hadn't told anyone. Not Sophia, not the doctors. I just wanted to see if there was anyone else out there who might be a match for her, anyone who might share her genetics. And there was. One match. One single person in the entire database who shared enough genetic markers with Sophia to be a viable donor. I clicked on the profile. The details were anonymous, but the location wasn't. Same city. Same zip code. Same hospital where Patricia worked. My hands were shaking as I cross-referenced the timeline. Patricia had registered as a donor 3 weeks ago, right after I started watching her house. She didn't know about the swap. She didn't know Sophia was her biological daughter. But somewhere deep in her nurse's intuition, in the part of her that had held a baby 20 years ago and felt that inexplicable bond, she'd signed up to help. And now she was about to save Sophia's life. Without ever knowing why it felt so right, I sat there in stunned silence as the pieces fell into place. Patricia was a match for Sophia because Sophia was hers. And I was a match for Emma because Emma was mine. The universe had given me a choice. I could tell the truth, shatter 4 lives, destroy 2 families, rip apart everything we'd built. Or I could stay silent and let biology fix what had broken. But there was a third option, one I hadn't considered until that moment. I could save them both. I grabbed my phone and dialed the number I'd been staring at for days. Ricardo Castellanos answered on the second ring. This is Ricardo. Mr. Castellanos, my name is Mrs. Williams Willington. You don't know me, but I know about Emma. And I know you need a liver transplant.
Silence.
I'm listening. I'm a match, I said. I'll donate part of my liver to you under one condition. What condition? You leave Emma alone. Forever. You sign away all parental rights, you stop coming to that house, and you never contact her or Patricia again. You get your transplant, you get your life, and they get their peace. Another pause. How do you know you're a match? Because I'm her biological mother, I said quietly. And before you ask how that's possible, just know that I have the DNA test to prove it. The hospital made a mistake 20 years ago. Emma isn't Patricia's biological daughter. She's mine. Then why are you helping me? I'm not helping you, I said. I'm helping her. The girl I should have raised. The girl who deserves a life without you in it.
He was quiet for a long time.
If I agree, you'll never tell them? About the swap? Never, I promised. Patricia loves Emma. Emma loves Patricia. That's real. Biology doesn't change that. I just want to make sure she's safe. And you're the only thing standing in the way of that. Fine, he said finally. I'll sign whatever you want. 2 weeks later, I was in the hospital. Not as a patient, but as a donor. They put me in a room next to Ricardo's, and as they wheeled me into surgery, I thought about the 2 daughters I'd never really had, and the 2 mothers who'd never really lost them. Patricia was 3 floors up, donating part of her liver to Sophia. I was here, donating part of mine to Ricardo, the man who didn't deserve it. But Emma did. She deserved peace. And Sophia deserved life. When I woke up, the nurse told me everything had gone well. Both surgeries. Both donors. Both recipients recovering. I closed my eyes and let the tears fall. A week later, I was back home when my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Patricia standing there, pale and tired but smiling. Mrs. Willington? Yes, I'm Patricia Castellanos. I donated part of my liver to your daughter. My breath caught. I know. The hospital told me. I don't know how to thank you. She shook her head. That's the thing. I don't know why I did it. I saw her name on the registry and something just pulled me toward her, like I was supposed to help her. Does that sound crazy? I smiled through tears. No. It sounds like love. She looked at me strangely, like she was trying to solve a puzzle she didn't have all the pieces to. You seem familiar, she said. Have we met before? No, I lied. But I feel like I've known you forever. She laughed. Well, our daughters share blood now. Literally. Maybe that makes us family. Maybe it does, I whispered. She handed me a card. My daughter's having a birthday party next month. I know this is strange, but I'd love for you and Sophia to come. If she's feeling up to it. I feel like we're connected somehow. I took the card, reading the name printed at the top. Emma Rose Castellanos. We'll be there, I said. And we were. For weeks later, I stood in Patricia's backyard watching Sophia and Emma laugh together over birthday cake, neither of them knowing they were sisters by blood, but both of them feeling it in ways they couldn't explain. They exchanged numbers, made plans, became friends, and I watched from the sidelines, the only person in the world who knew the whole truth. That night, Sophia hugged me tight. Mom, I really like Emma. There's something about her. She feels like, I don't know, like home. I kissed her forehead. That's because some people are meant to be in our lives, I said. No matter how they get there. She smiled and went to bed. I sat alone in the kitchen, looking at the DNA test I'd locked in a drawer months ago. I could burn it, destroy it, let the secret die with me. Or I could keep it. A reminder that sometimes the worst mistakes lead to the most beautiful lives. I chose to keep it because 20 years ago, a hospital made an error that swapped two babies. But it didn't swap two families. It created them. And some truths are less important than the love that grows in spite of them. And that's the end of Mrs. Williams Willington's incredible story. If this moved you, if it made you think about what really makes a family, please do 3 things for us right now. First, smash that like button. Second, subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications. We share powerful, emotional stories like this every single day. Third, drop a comment below and tell us, would you have told the truth or kept the secret? We want to hear from you. Remember, family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about the people who show up, who stay, who love you even when the DNA says they don't have to. Thank you so much for watching. Until tomorrow, cherish the people who chose to love you. We'll see you in the next story.